Hispanic Heritage Month, and Louisiana eases restrictions on nursing home visits. Lori Jarvina in Las Vegas will tell us about Las Vegas Parks joining the National Fitness Campaign's Model City program. Valerie Gonzalez in Burbank, Virginia.
Los Angeles hosts 72nd Emmy Awards virtually from Staples Center.
And for ABC Sports, we'll hear from Melissa Potes in Orlando reporting about the winner of the NBA MVP award. But first, we'll have an overview of the COVID-19 situation. According to the Coronavirus Resource Center of Johns Hopkins University in Medicine, as of 4 o'clock Eastern Time, today, the number of cases worldwide is now more than 30,800,000. The top three countries with the most number of recorded cases: the United States, 6.7 million, India, 5.4 million, Brazil, 4.5 million. And sadly, worldwide, this virus has claimed more than 958,000 lives. The top three countries with the most number of deaths: the United States, more than 199,000, Brazil, more than 136,000, India, 86,000 people have lost their lives to COVID-19. Our coverage begins now. Today, Iran called on the rest of the world to unite against the United States after Washington unilaterally declared UN sanctions against the Islamic Republic were back in force. The foreign ministry spokesman in Tehran said they expect the international community and all the countries in the world to stand against, and these are his words, these reckless actions by the regime in the White House, and speak in one voice.
یک هیاهو برای هیچ اقدامات ایالات متحده بوده و برای ایالات متحده من تصور میکنم تلخترین روزها و ساعات داره رقم میخوره. انتخاب ایالات متحده این بوده که در طرف اشتباه تاریخ بایستد. پیام تهران به واشنگتن روشنه. به جامعه جهانی برگرد. به تعهدات خودت برگرد و دست از یاغیگری و سرکشی بردار. جامعه جهانی تو را خواهد پذیرفت.
Washington said it will not impose consequences on any country not complying with the sanctions. According to Pompeo, the UN sanctions were back in force, effective today. The move relies on the controversial snapback mechanism, which the U.S. claims allows any of the partners to the 2015 nuclear agreement to reimpose UN sanctions if Tehran violates its obligations. Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump on Saturday urged Republican lawmakers to back his upcoming nomination for the Supreme Court without delay, as the issue roiled the election campaign. Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, a liberal stalwart, died Friday, opening a crucial vacancy on the court and setting off a fierce political battle before the November 3rd vote. People gather outside the U.S. Supreme Court in Washington, D.C., and in New York City to honor Ginsburg, affectionately known as the notorious RBG. The 87-year-old Ginsburg was the oldest of the 9-member Supreme Court. The court announced that she died after a fight with pancreatic cancer, saying she passed away surrounded by her family at her home in Washington, D.C. Trump tweeted that the most important decision that the Republicans had been elected to make was, and these are his words, the selection of the U.S. Supreme Court justices. Trump said, again, his words, we have this obligation to do so without delay. Coming just before the election in which Trump lags his Democratic rival Joe Biden in the polls, the vacancy offers the Republicans a chance to lock in a conservative majority at the court for decades to come. Democrats have demanded a delay in the nomination until after the election, an uphill battle given that the Republicans have control of the Senate, which must approve the president's nominee. Trump said in August he would have no qualms about naming a new justice so close to the election. And last week, he unveiled the names of 20 possible choices. Interim Police Chief Mark Simmons deplores a tragedy of epic proportions. That's what he calls it, a tragedy of epic proportions, after 2 people were killed and 14 wounded in a shooting at a backyard party in Rochester, New York.
This is yet another tragedy where individuals are having these illegal, unsanctioned house parties taking place in these properties, which, number one, is not safe, because of COVID, because of the conditions, and then you add in alcohol and violence, and it just becomes a recipe for disaster. So I urge anyone who has any information to please contact the Rochester Police Department.
Simmons said the officers responding to reports of gunfire in the area found what was described as a chaotic scene with about 100 people running in various directions. He said there were a total of 16 confirmed victims of the shooting, 2 of them fatally. Those killed, 1 man and 1 woman, were both between the ages of 18 and 22. They have not been formally identified. Simmons said the 14 wounded had been taken to hospital. None were in life-threatening condition. No arrests have been made so far. Police could not say if more than 1 shooter was involved. Up next, reports from our correspondents in Swarthmore, Pennsylvania and Union Township, New Jersey. This is Eagle News America.
The New Era University, in its 45th year of excellence, discipline, and service to humanity, will offer online education all levels beginning this first semester academic year 2020 to 2021 through the NEU Virtual Learning Environment, or NEU VLE. New Era University offers a complete basic education cycle from kindergarten up to senior high school, offering all strands. NEU has 18 colleges, and 2 graduate schools. It also offers ALS and ETI. Best of all, NEU has the most affordable tuition fees among private universities in the Philippines. NEU is at Quezon City, the city of San Fernando, Pampanga, General Santos City, South Cotabato, Lipa City, Batangas, and Pinugay, Baras, Rizal. New Era University is under the stewardship of Dr. Dilo L. Rosas. What are you waiting for? Be part of the new normal. Enroll now. Classes start on October 5, 2020.
Well, I think I'm going out of my head.
Efren Montes po. Mga bro, ayusin nyo naman ang tono at kanta nyo dyan.
Wala na po. Ma'am sir, swabe boses ko, di ba?
Baka siya. Ako! Hello, fans! Joel Trinidad po. Ano ito?
Eh di ako na. Lord Mendoza po. Ang malayelong boses sa lahat. O Ege! Ege ka! Bahala ka sa buhay mo! Ege!
Makigulo! Makitawa!
At makipagkantahan kasama natin ang ating mga OFW dito lang sa
Saya Saya!
The search for the best continues. Tagisan ng Galing Part 2 is now accepting audition entries. Kung ikaw ay 21 to 59 years old at may angking galing sa pagsayaw, mapasolo, duo o grupo man, magpadala na ng audition entry. Narito ang mga guidelines. Para makapagpasa ng entry sa dancing category, contact Shing at 0995-880-8004. Ito na ang pagkakataon mo para maging tagisan ng galing grand winner at manalo ng 2 million pesos. Para sa karagdagang impormasyon, i-like ang Tagisan ng Galing Facebook page. Kaya sali na!
Malalayong lugar ang kanilang narating para maghanap buhay. Tulungan ang pamilyang iniwan sa sariling bayan. Yan ang ating mga overseas Filipino worker. Pero dahil sa di pangkaraniwang pangyayaring hatid ay krisis, may ilan sa kanilang nagpasyang umuwi. Pinagyaman ang sariling lupain, nagtayo ng negosyo na kasama sa puhunan ang sipag at tiyaga. Ang mga OFW, maraming sakripisyo, ninanais maging kapaki-pakinabang maging sa kanilang pagbabalik bansa. Sapagkat ang ating mga bagong bayani, Pilipino pa rin sa puso at damdamin.
Ein sonniger Tag heute hier in Berlin vor dem Bundestag. Ich bin Irene Juliet Arzadon und möchte diese Gelegenheit nutzen, um ein paar Worte mit euch zu teilen. An alle Menschen da draußen. In dieser Zeit lasst uns nicht vergessen, den Menschen zu danken, die ihr Leben für uns opfern. Sei es die Menschen, die im Krankenhaus arbeiten, in den Altenheimen sowie in den Arztpraxen, aber auch an die Menschen, die im Lebensmittelhandel sich befinden. Die Kassierer. Manchmal reicht es aus, um ihnen ein freundliches Lächeln zu geben. Denn die Menschen, die heute am Arbeiten sind, weil sie nicht so wie einige von uns zu Hause bleiben können, die sollten wir wertschätzen. Ihnen sollten wir unseren Dank ausrichten. Darum lasst uns noch mehr zusammenhalten. Sie wertschätzen.
You're watching Eagle News America. I'm Thomas I. Likeness. A woman has been arrested at the Canada-U.S. border after a poison-laced letter was sent to President Donald Trump. Details are sketchy, but apparently the FBI is working the case with the Canadian police. A bit of background here. Canadian and U.S. news agencies report that American authorities intercepted the envelope addressed to President Trump last week, and it contained a substance identified as ricin. There's a very, very poisonous substance. Now, the letter never reached President Trump's mailbox, and that's because everything sent to the White House is first inspected by Defense Department personnel at a facility near the Pentagon. So he never checks his mail. It's checked for him. And that's, you see this picture up here, behind those doors, that's what's happening there. Inspectors are looking through mail being addressed to the White House. Now, according to a report in the New York Times, it was believed the letter was mailed from Canada. The FBI then asked the RCMP in Canada for help with the case. At least two other agencies besides the FBI are involved in the investigation, one of them being the Secret Service, the other being the U.S. Postal Inspection Service. Now, the FBI said earlier there is no threat, no known threat to public safety. U.S. Customs officials and border officials took the suspect into custody earlier today. She's not been identified. No charges yet. It's likely, though, she will face federal charges. NBC said letters were also sent to federal prisons. Didn't identify which prisons or who the recipients were. She was also apparently armed and had a gun with her when she was arrested. Ricin is produced by processing castor beans. Now, ricin is a very, very deadly substance, sometimes found in rat poison. It can kill even in minute doses if it's swallowed, if it's inhaled or injected. Basically, the cause of death is from organ failure, and there is no known antidote. Pennsylvania Governor Tom Wolf calls a General Assembly to fund the COVID-19 hazard pay program for frontliners. And we hear details from that from our Bureau Chief, I should say, in Swarthmore, Mila Simbulan.
Thanks, Thomas. Last July, Governor of Pennsylvania Tom Wolf presented his fall legislative agenda to protect workers, businesses, and families. This agenda includes hazard pay for frontline workers. Through the federal program Coronavirus Aid Relief and Economic Security, or CARES Act, Pennsylvania was granted $50 million for hazard pay, but it turned out that it is not enough. Only 639 employers were awarded, and there are more eligible employers waiting for their requests to be granted. Here's Governor Tom Wolf to tell us more about the next steps. Take a look.
So Pennsylvanians who work frontline essential jobs during this pandemic deserve our gratitude and our respect. But gratitude and respect goes only so far. They need to be compensated for the hard and dangerous work that they did for us and that they continue to do. And that's why in this summer, I announced the PA Hazard Pay Grant Program. And through this program, we directed $50 million, which we thought was going to be enough in grant funding to provide hazard pay for employees in life-sustaining occupations. It was created to keep frontline employees working in these vital sectors and to compensate them appropriately for the additional hazards that their jobs entailed. And the program was in high demand right from day one. We got more than 10,000 applications in a 2-week application period, and that was a really competitive program. In the end, 639 employers were awarded the $50 million in funding for hazard pay increases for their employees. It has become clear, though, that that was far from being enough. That was not enough. There are many more employers who still want to participate in the program and had good applications that we just didn't have, with $50 million, didn't have the capacity to deal with. Employers are dedicated to making sure their employees are compensated for the hard work they do. They see this as a necessary benefit. And that's why I'm calling on the General Assembly to allocate another additional money, this time $225 million more to the hazard pay program. That would be on top of the $50 million that has already gone out.
The Department of Community and Economic Development, or DCED, which administered the program, received more than 10,000 applications, totaling nearly $900 million, of which more than 5,000 businesses requesting $300 million were eligible. Of those, 639 employers were awarded $50 million, supporting a $3 per hour increase in pay for 41,587 workers across eligible industries. Here's Dennis Davin, Department of Community and Economic Development Secretary, to tell us more about it. Take a look.
Governor Wolf and this administration recognize that as these frontline workers answer the call, we need to in turn give back to them. The COVID-19 Hazard Grant Pay Program administered by us at DCED provides extra income to employees in critical industries. These workers didn't stop when COVID-19 appeared in the Commonwealth. They continued to show up and help each and every day. This $3 per hour increase is a small way we can help our frontline workers. Through this program, as the governor mentioned, 639 employers received $50 million increase in pay to increase the pay of almost 42,000 full-time employees across 7 industries, from healthcare to food services, retail, security, transportation. These are just a few examples of the industries and the people served by this funding. But it's vital to note that during the application period, as expected, and as the governor mentioned, the demand for this program was exceptionally high. Thousands of eligible and deserving Pennsylvania businesses applied for this funding. In fact, 5,000 businesses were eligible to receive hazard pay grants, but there simply wasn't enough funding to go around.
CREDC is a DCED certified economic development organization that administers DCED loan programs, including the COVID-19 hazard pay program. CREDC applied for the program on behalf of 25 local employers. Of those 25, Facility Concierge Services, a janitorial services company, is one of the 3 companies that was awarded in the Harrisburg area. Here's Mary Calverley, owner of Facility Concierge Services, to tell us more about the impact of hazard pay to her company.
Our employees literally just have not stopped working. When I found out from Melissa that we were fortunate enough to have received the hazard pay grant, I was just so appreciative and grateful that I was able to pass along to our staff that they were being recognized as frontline workers, and that we were going to be able to offer this additional $3 an hour to them during the 10-week time frame that the grant applies to. It not only helps us as an employer of retaining our current employees, but it's also helping us attract new employees that we may lose just from, turnover. As employees leave, we still have to have that person replaced. So we are able to be competitive with some of the big box employers that are out here, that it bridges that gaps, and it is helping us attract new employees. It's helping us show the appreciation that we may not have otherwise been able to do had we not received the funds from the hazard pay grant.
Many people are saying thank you through signs or social media, but it's also nice to compensate our brave and courageous frontline workers for their hard work. In Swarthmore, Pennsylvania, Myla Simbulan, Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Thomas.
Myla, before you go, tell us more about this COVID-19 hazard pay program. Like, when did the application start? What are the requirements?
So Thomas, let's define first hazard pay. Hazard pay means additional pay for performing hazardous duty or work involving physical hardship in each case that is related to COVID-19. So for this hazard pay, COVID-19 hazard pay program here in Pennsylvania, it started July 16, 2020, and it ended July 31st, 2020. So it's about 2 weeks. The grant funds may be used for hazard pay for if you're a direct full-time or part-time employee, and if you're earning less than $20 per hour, excluding fringe benefits and overtime. Funds may only be used to pay hazard pay for eligible employees for the 10-week period. There's a period of between August 16, 2020 through October 24, 2020. Applicants may apply for only up to $1,200 per eligible full-time equivalent or full-time employee. The hazard pay must be paid to the eligible employee over the 10-week period of August 16 to October 24 as a $3 per hour, like what Governor Wolf and Secretary Davin said. $3 per hour hazard pay increase to their regular pay rate. Thomas?
What kind of occupations would this cover?
So those frontline workers includes janitorial services, all the healthcare workers, food manufacturer, if you work at the grocery stores or what you call food retail, transportation also is included. Those are just among the type of industries that can be awarded with this hazard pay.
I want to talk about the CARES Act funding for a moment here. Of that initial $50 million, how was it divvied up and allocated among the different industries?
So the highest that was paid was healthcare. All those people who works at the hospitals, clinics, they're allocated 63%. The next is food manufacturing. Of course, that's also needed during the quarantine. 7.2% was allocated for food manufacturing. Food retail is 8.2%. Social assistant is 12.6%. Janitorial services, 3.7%. Transportation is also awarded 1.2%. And security has 3.6% of that 50 million. Thomas?
So it's quite a variety of industries there. Thank you for joining us this evening, Mila, and take care.
Thank you, you too.
A $2.3 million grant is going to tenants in New Jersey who face eviction in this time of crisis. In Union Township, Bureau Chief Carlo Valdez has this story.
In an effort to help slow down the evictions in New Jersey, a $2.35 million grant will go to two groups to help thousands of New Jersey tenants facing eviction. The Housing and Community Development Network of New Jersey and the Volunteer Lawyers for Justice will be receiving the House Stability Grant, which also comes from the New Jersey Pandemic Relief Fund, which is a nonprofit organization that was created to help residents that have felt or continue to feel the economic effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. New Jersey First Lady Tammy Murphy said, "The coronavirus pandemic has hit the most vulnerable the hardest, leaving many families worried about keeping a roof over their heads. We hope this grant will help stave off a pending eviction crisis by helping at-risk tenants and landlords understand their rights and navigate a complex system during these incredibly trying times. The grant will help those who struggle to pay their rents monthly after the COVID-19 pandemic left more than 1.5 million New Jerseyans looking for unemployment benefits, especially those who became jobless." And as for coronavirus stats and numbers, New Jersey reports of 457 new positive COVID-19 cases, pushing the total to 199,762. Sadly, New Jersey is reporting 3 new COVID-19 deaths, pushing the total to 14,276 lives lost. In Union Township, New Jersey, Carlo Valdez, Eagle News, we live in interesting times.
Up next, we'll be bringing you updates from Atlanta, Georgia, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and Las Vegas, Nevada. This is Eagle News America.
Ein sonniger Tag heute hier in Berlin vor dem Bundestag. Ich bin Irene Juliet Arzadon und möchte diese Gelegenheit nutzen, um ein paar Worte mit euch zu teilen. An alle Menschen da draußen. In dieser Zeit lasst uns nicht vergessen, den Menschen zu danken, die ihr Leben für uns opfern. Sei es die Menschen, die im Krankenhaus arbeiten, in den Altenheimen sowie in den Arztpraxen, aber auch an die Menschen, die im Lebensmittelhandel sich befinden. Die Kassierer. Manchmal reicht es aus, um ihnen ein freundliches Lächeln zu geben. Denn die Menschen, die heute am Arbeiten sind, weil sie nicht so wie einige von uns zu Hause bleiben können, die sollten wir wertschätzen. Ihnen sollten wir unseren Dank ausrichten. Darum lasst uns noch mehr zusammenhalten. Sie wertschätzen.
Oh my goodness! It's good to be back! Orly magtanggol po. Orly for short. OFW, At your service. Mabuhay ka, kabayan.
Anak! Hello, beautiful. I'm Darius Magtanggol. Papa D po siya. Tatay ni Orly, original singer, heartthrob ng cruise ship.
Pwede ho ba magtanong? Sino ho ako? Alam ko na ho. Ako nga ho pala si Eva Magtanggol. Misis po ako ni Darius.
Makigulo! Makitawa!
At makipagkantahan kasama natin ang ating mga OFW dito lang sa
Saya Saya!
The search for the best continues. Tagisan ng Galing Part 2 is now accepting audition entries. If you are 21 to 59 years old and have what it takes to be the next Tagisan ng Galing Grand Winner as a solo performer, duet, trio, band, or grouped act, submit your audition entries now. Just follow these guidelines. To submit audition entries for the singing category, contact Nikki at 0977-651-9504. This is your chance to be Tagisan ng Galing's grand winner and win 2 million pesos. For more details and updates, visit and like the Tagisan ng Galing Facebook page. What are you waiting for? Join now!
Tayong mga Filipino, likas na palabati. Sanay rin tayong makipagkamay. Pero dahil na rin sa COVID pandemic, isinusulong ang pagbati na hindi na kailangan pang makipagkamay. Ang pambansang pagbati. Ito ay ang pagdampi ng kanang palad sa gitnang bahagi ng dibdib, kasabay ng bahagyang pagyukod ng ulo o paibabang tingin, at pagsambit ng mga salitang nagpapahayag ng pagbati, paggalang o pagpupugay. Pagkatapos nito ay ang pag-angat ng ulo ng nakangiti at nakatingin sa mata ng binabati. Pambansang pagbati, pagpapakita ng paggalang, kababaang loob at pagiging sensero nating mga Filipino.
You're watching Eagle News America. I'm Thomas I. Likeness. In Georgia, the state's unemployment rate is now beating the national average. In Atlanta, Bureau Chief Philip Toledo has the details. Philip?
Thanks, Tom. And before I head to the main story, I just want to let everyone know that it almost feels like fall here, finally, in Georgia. After weeks of hot and humid weather and the remnants of Hurricane Sally actually rolling through last week, we had a beautiful weekend. It was sunny, with a high of 71 Fahrenheit or 22 Celsius. Now, recently in a press release, Governor Brian Kemp said, quote, "In Georgia, we continue to make progress in the fight to protect lives and livelihoods." He referenced in part the downward trajectory of COVID-19 related metrics such as hospitalizations and positivity rate. However, he wanted to highlight another important number, the state unemployment rate. According to the State Department of Labor, in April, the rate surged to 12.6%, but since then has steadily decreased until now, in August, the rate stands at 5.6%. Now, by comparison, the national average is now 8.4%. Commissioner of Labor Mark Butler said, quote, "We anticipated a drop in the unemployment rate as we have seen many businesses re-engaging in the economy and bringing employees back to work. To date, the state has paid out over $13.5 billion in unemployment benefits since the beginning of the pandemic in March." Now, to keep Georgia on the right track, Governor Kemp continued to remind residents this weekend to follow his, quote, 4 things for fall that he debuted just a few weeks ago. Let's take a look.
To
Today, I'm renewing the call for Georgians to do 4 things for fall. First, wear a mask. Second, practice social distancing. 3, wash your hands regularly. And 4, follow the guidance of public health officials detailed in our executive orders. These 4 things will require some sacrifice and grit, but these 4 actions will save lives and jobs. So do it for your family and friends. Do it for your faith community, or do it for college football. No matter your reason, hunker down, stay focused, and do 4 things for fall.
In Atlanta, Georgia, Philip Toledo, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Tom. Tom, back to you. We have a little difficulty hearing you. We are far away from Edmonton, though.
It's all that distance. I'll shout this time.
There we go.
Okay. What do you think is driving the job growth? You know, it's pretty flat in a lot of places in both your country and my country, but why is Georgia kind of booming?
Yeah, so I guess there's a couple of things there. First, just like was mentioned by the Labor Commissioner, Georgia's quote-unquote shelter-in-place only really lasted about a month. We've been in this reopening, if you will, since since the beginning of May. And so several businesses, you know, whether it be the restaurant industry or just other companies in general, we've been starting this process of going back to work now for several months. The other thing, at the end of July, the main federal CARES Act unemployment assistance ended, and so there were a lot of people that if you were in maybe one of those hourly jobs, you know, making, you know, just a little bit above minimum wage, it actually you came out a little bit better in a lot of cases if you were unemployed. And with that ending, I think a lot of people are now you know, getting back into the workforce. And the other thing that I'll mention too, you know, before we send it back, is that there's a lot of big companies that are headquartered here in Atlanta, and then a lot of companies are starting to move to Atlanta. Just a couple months ago, sometime in the middle of the pandemic, Microsoft announced that they were going to be opening a big office here. And I just saw recently that Papa John's of the pizza company, they're moving their headquarters here to Atlanta too. So, you know, joining some of the other big companies here, there's just a lot going on, even though we're in the middle of a pandemic.
Sort of boom times there, but what about one of the problems we've got here is women are not going back to work because of the child care issue. Is that a problem as well in Georgia?
I would think it's very similar. I mean, just speaking from personal experience, my wife is a teacher, and so where we're trying this balancing act right now where, you know, we're trying to figure out how can we best take care of our son. Well, we have actually got him in a daycare, but something else that we've noticed that now with, you know, coronavirus, COVID-19 going around, even the slightest little drop of moisture coming from his nose, they want him to stay home. And so it's been very difficult for us just try to balance that and figure out who's going to stay home. And that's for, you know, both of us where we have a job where, you know, we're able to teach or we're able to work from home right now. There's a lot of people that don't have that option. And so definitely a big challenge as we get going here.
And I'm sure it's going to be a challenge for some of those new employers coming in as well. Thank you for joining us this evening, Philip, and you take care.
And thanks, Tom.
A tropical warning has just been issued for Louisiana, plus a Louisiana historic site celebrates National Hispanic Heritage Month, and Louisiana State eases restrictions on nursing home visits. We've got all of these stories coming to us from our bureau chief in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Monique Valesco.
Hello from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. On Sunday, just 1 week after Hurricane Sally hit the Gulf Coast, Governor John Bel Edwards issued another severe storm warning, this time for Tropical Storm Beta. Governor Edwards announced that local authorities are monitoring the situation and for residents to follow advice from their local officials. Storm surges and hurricane watches are in effect. Governor Edwards stated, "We strongly urge everyone to check your supplies and review www.getagameplan.org for preparedness information. September 15, 2020 is the start of National Hispanic Heritage Month, and during this month and throughout the year, the state historic site Los Adayes will be celebrating the history, heritage, and accomplishment of Hispanic Americans. The historic Presidio, or fort located in Robeline, Louisiana, near Natchitoches, was built on the edge of the Spanish Empire in 1719 as an outpost to defend Spanish settlements from the French. Visitors can take guided tours and watch historical demonstrations from the Cane River National Heritage Area. As a result of the recent damage caused by Hurricane Laura, new discoveries were made at Los Adayes State Historic Site, as the hurricane gave the Louisiana Division of Archaeology an opportunity for excavation. Collaborations with volunteers and universities uncovered Native American sherds, French colonial pottery, and hand-wrought nails. These artifacts will now be a part of Los Adayes' permanent archaeological exhibit. In other news, Governor Edwards announced Friday that Louisiana will quickly implement new guidance from the CDC and the federal government to ease restrictions on visits to nursing homes during the COVID-19 pandemic. The new guidance allows nursing homes to hold outdoor visitation with social distancing. Nursing homes in parishes with 10% or less test positivity and with no new onset of COVID-19 cases in the last 14 days can allow indoor visitation. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services advises safety measures limiting how many visitors a resident can have at one time, as well as limiting the amount of visitors that can be in the facility at once. The guidance also requires face coverings and 6 feet social distancing between people and screening of all visitors for symptoms of COVID-19, including fever. We leave you now with the following statement issued by Governor Edwards regarding the recent death of Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. He stated, "Justice Ginsburg was a trailblazing pioneer whose long and storied career in the law broke barriers and inspired many across the nation, men and women. Donna and I send our prayers and heartfelt condolences to the family." In Baton Rouge, Louisiana, I'm Monique Velasco, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Frendel.
And sitting in for Frendel, I'm Thomas Lightness. You know, staying healthy and keeping fit, what a great idea. What a great idea. And some Las Vegas parks are participating in the National Fitness Campaign's Model City program. To tell us about it, Eagle News correspondent Lori Jarvina.
And hello from Las Vegas, Nevada. As many are seeking ways to stay healthy and physically fit during these challenging times, Las Vegas communities have shown their dedication to this goal by adding fitness equipment to some city parks. Baskin Park is one of many public parks in Las Vegas that provide several exercise options, from an ergonomic walking trail to sit-up and push-up stations. How about a balancing beam to test coordination? And even double bars for those gymnastic moves that just can't be accomplished at home. According to LasVegasNevada.gov site, the installation was part of a nationwide movement to reshape healthy outdoor infrastructure and support healthy lifestyles in cities across the United States. The Las Vegas Fitness Court is part of National Fitness Campaign's Model City program, an innovative program that works with city planners to build infrastructure that connects people with healthy resources such as trails, parks, and bike share programs. The fitness equipment is easily accessible and available to support the goals for any fitness level. Children and adults of all ages and abilities are encouraged to develop healthy habits and maintain long-term wellness. Visit nationalfitnesscampaign.com for more details. You can also download the Fitness Court app on any smartphone to access workout videos and more. For a list of parks with access to fitness equipment in Las Vegas, visit lasvegasnevada.gov and click on Get Fits at our parks. Physical fitness is one of the ways to maintain a healthy mind and body. Hope you're staying safe and fit in your part of the world. In Las Vegas, Lori Jarvina, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, friends.
And coming up next, we'll have reports from Burbank, California, and of course, some material from EBC Sports. Eagle News America will return in a moment.
Oh my goodness! It's good to be back. Orly magtanggol po. Orly for short. OFW at your service. Mabuhay ka, kabayan.
Anak! Hello, beautiful. I'm Darius Magtanggol. Papa D po short. Tatay ni Orly, original singer, heartthrob ng cruise ship.
Pwede ho ba magtanong? Sino ho ako? Alam ko na ho. Ako nga ho pala si Eva Magtanggol. Misis po ako ni Darius.
Makigulo! Makitawa!
At makipagkantahan kasama natin ang ating mga OFW dito lang sa
Saya!
The search for the best continues. Tagisan ng Galing Part 2 is now accepting audition entries. Kung ikaw ay 21 to 59 years old at may angking galing sa pagkanta, mapa-solo, duet, trio o banda man, magpadala na ng audition entry. Narito ang mga guidelines. Para makapagpasa ng entry sa singing category, contact Nikki sa 0977-651-9504. Ito na ang pagkakataon mo para maging tagisan ng galing grand winner at manalo ng 2 million pesos. Para sa karagdagang impormasyon, i-like ang Tagisan ng Galing Facebook page. Kaya sali na!
We know that this is a scary time for all of us.
The coronavirus is changing the world.
Changing our lives.
So please, take care of yourself.
Keep your distance.
Wash your hands. And if you can, stay at home.
We at DW are here for you. We are working tirelessly to keep you informed on all of our platforms.
We're all in this together.
And together,
we'll make it through.
Stay safe, everybody.
Stay safe.
Stay safe.
Stay safe.
Please, stay safe.
This is Eagle News America. I'm Thomas I. Likeness. Los Angeles hosts the 72nd Emmy Awards. This will be done virtually from the Staples Center. My, how things have changed. In Burbank, California, Valerie Gonzalez joins us this evening. Valerie, what's going to be different this year?
Thank you, Tom. Los Angeles hosts the 72nd Emmy Awards completely virtual at the Staples Center this evening. Jimmy Kimmel is no stranger to hosting big shows, including tonight's Emmy Awards, where he once more assumes hosting duties. The event that recognizes TV's top talents once again takes place at a famous Los Angeles venue, the Staples Center. But because of the pandemic, the 72nd Emmys will be completely virtual, playing live to a particularly empty arena. So the glamour and hoopla of the red carpet is replaced by bedroom acceptance speeches from where tuxedos and gowns are by no means guaranteed. Nominees were sent ring lights, and camera equipment in order to be all set up and ready to broadcast remotely. Speaking of the contenders, some first-time performer nominees include Kate Blanchett for Mrs. America, Kevin O'Leary, one of the sharks on Shark Tank, and Zendaya for Euphoria. Fans of the graphic novel The Watchmen will be delighted to know that HBO's alternate reality breakout series has received 26 nominations, the most for a drama series. The marvelous Mrs. Maisel comes close with 20 nominations, and 18 nods going to shows Succession and Ozark. When it comes to channels, the numbers gap is a bit wider. Streaming service Netflix rockets to the top with a commanding 160 nominations, while HBO tallies in with a respectable 107 count. But after that, the next highest number of nominations goes to NBC at 47. Now let's talk about the categories. For Best Drama Series, shows to keep on your radar include Better Call Saul, The Crown, Killing Eve, and The Mandalorian. Curb Your Enthusiasm, The Good Place, and What We Do in the Shadows are some of the hopefuls in the comedy category. Shifting to miniseries, Unorthodox, Unbelievable, and Mrs. America are among the shows on the ballot. And for TV movies, be on the lookout for films like American Son, Bad Education, and El Camino, a Breaking Bad movie. All in all, there'll be over 25 aspiring winners for these four main categories. But whether frontrunners or dark horse nominees capture television's biggest prize, one aspect of the Emmys is expected to remain the same, using acceptance speeches as a platform to address big issues. It won't surprise anyone if the topic of the U.S. presidential race, the push for equality, or the coronavirus surfaces as speaking points. Another aspect of the show anticipated to also remain the same, Jimmy Kimmel. Look forward to Kimmel's quick quips and tongue-in-cheek humor, which was on display in one of his pre-Emmy promos where he says, "No one goes home a loser. They'll already be at home." No, that's funny. In lost live in interesting times. Back to you, Tom.
Valerie, are you going to be watching that?
Sorry?
Are you going to be watching the show?
I'm sorry? Oh, yes, for sure.
Okay.
I may not be a big fan of film, but I'm a
one of the
fashion.
Right, and we'll talk about that in a moment. You know, the red carpet is really a highlight of the show, but it's different this year. Will there be any semblance of what we're used to seeing on TV, or is it all going to be different?
The news and entertainment channels will still be having their own red carpet style of events remotely before the show, but it will be it's going to be a different look this year. So here's hoping that stars will still pop up for an interview with them virtually.
My, how times have changed, but you know, yeah, and one of the other things on the red carpet, of course, everybody comments on the fashion. Any chance we'll be still treated to any of the high-end designer styles, or is that a thing of the past too?
Tom, the Television Academy encourages celebrities and nominees to be creative with their fashion and even their background. Will we see contour that costs more than my monthly income? Maybe, but it might also be interesting to see celebrities rocking in their PJs. And speaking of fashion, I love that blue tie you're wearing, Tom.
Okay, thank you for joining us. And now, EBC Sports. And we have this report from Melissa Potus about the NBA Most Valuable Player Award. Melissa?
The Greek freak Giannis Antetokounmpo adds another MVP award to his trophy collection. The Milwaukee Bucks forward joins Michael Jordan and Hakeem Olajuwon as the only NBA players to win MVP and Defensive Player of the Year honors in the same season.
Obviously, your first time, it's always special. It's like your first year in the NBA. It's like, the first time you share that you're going to be a dad. The first time you make your first point in the NBA. It's always special. Obviously, I'm happy for tonight. I'm happy for this award, but I always look forward. I always, try to figure out how can I get better. How can I do it again? How can I do it for multiple years to come? How can I be a champion? I'm happy, I'm grateful, but, how can I do it again?
Tune into Eagle News for more news and updates on the NBA playoffs. In Orlando, Florida, Melissa Potes, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
And before we go, let's continue to thank our healthcare workers, our first responders, the essential workers who all make life easier for us with a round of applause. Join me. We appreciate you, and that's it for today's Eagle News America. Thank you for joining us. Stay safe. I'm Thomas I. Likeness. We live in interesting times.